Hey, here we go. Check this out.
This is Whole Nother Level with Dwayne Lindo.
You know, frankly, I feel that we shouldn't even be talking about this. Simple as that.
The great L. Bushman.
They'd have to make so many adjustments, but I don't know what they have to do. They need a miracle. They need a miracle.
Frank Mazzei.
Did they win the offseason in free agency? Yes. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Craig Cousin.
How can you not put Tom Brady number one on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks? Man, this guy's a legend. Rings speak.
And Derek Wilson.
I didn't know Eric was going to let you talk.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. I've seen enough Facebook posts to know that you're not a Giants fan. Let's go. And welcome everyone to another edition of Whole Nother Level right here at Cowork, Florida, Lakewood Ranch, downtown Main Street. I'm your man Eric, and I'm joined by the great L. Bushman and the factual Frank Mazzei. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Pretty good, Eric. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm hanging in there.
I'm good, man.
Are you under the weather?
No, I'm not. I'm a little.
You're under the weather.
I'm not under the weather.
You're eating a cough drop.
I am not eating a cough drop.
What do you have?
That was a Jolly Rancher that I just had. Thank you very much.
And you couldn't share with the rest of us?
There's more in the bowl out there. Go get one.
I'll get one during break.
Thank you.
Not during the show.
Anyhow. Whole Nother Level, we are live every Tuesday from 6 to 7:30 right here at Cowork, Florida. Big shout out to KP for letting us come in here and do it. So, gentlemen, the Super Bowl is set. It is not the prediction that we wanted. So a lot of people are already saying that it's not going to be the same entertainment value that we were hoping that it was going to be with the drama and mystique and Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady. However, Matt Ryan, Atlanta Falcons, have made their way back to the Super Bowl. Atlanta Falcons for the second time in their entire franchise history. Matt Ryan for the first time. So I guess I'll start the conversation there and say to you gentlemen, Jordy Nelson was on the field, had a Kevlar vest, but apparently this man was not bulletproof because that Atlanta defense got to him. And I just want to know from y'all, what in the world happened to Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers?
The Atlanta Falcons. I mean, look, I think this should put an end to the MVP debate. It's Matt Ryan. I mean, if he does not win it, I would be shocked. I didn't expect that. I mean, Atlanta is scary. I mean, and look, Julio, for all the talk about Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham Jr., Julio Jones is just he's on a whole nother level, so to speak, because Odell and Antonio they're small guys. They're like, $170. I mean, like 5'9". Julio's big and fast and can move and do pretty much everything. So you can't bully him or you can't redirect him in that regard because he's just too big. Matt Ryan can throw it up and he's pretty much going to get it. So, and then you got Mohamed Sanu, who's another big wide receiver. I mean, Gabriel. I mean, they're scary, and their defense is actually not as bad. I mean, at least in that game, their defense came to play.
8 different receivers from Matt Ryan. 8 different receivers. You spoke to Julio Jones, 9 for 180, 2 touchdowns. His longest was 73 yards. Sanu was 5 for 52. Freeman, a running back, 4 for 42. Coleman, another running back, 3 for 35. This guy, DeMarco, 1 for 31. Gabriel, 2 for 24. Hooper, 2 for 23. And then you got somebody. This guy for 5 yards.
Ravioli?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I'm saying, Matt Ryan just finding guys to throw the ball to. He doesn't concentrate specifically on Julio Jones. He's passing the ball around. Don't matter whether you're a running back or a wide receiver, a tight end, slot. It makes no difference to him. If you're open, he gonna find you. This is a hard thing for me to say right now because I was against the Atlanta Falcons. I was against them from years past because I'm like, you're Matt Ryan. You're supposed to be this calm, cool, collected guy. Your nickname is Matty Ice. You're supposed to have this clutch gene. And in years past, we had not seen that. And so I was like, dude, you're gone. They need to, whoever the next man up is for Atlanta needs to step up. So either A, Matt Ryan was listening to our show, and if you are, Matt, thank you very much. Or B, he got tired of listening to everybody hating on him, and he just said, all right, I'm going to put my money, the money that this team's giving me, where my mouth is, or more importantly, where my arm is, and I'm going to show up and actually do what I know I'm capable of doing.
Big ups to Dan Quinn, and I think he took that intensity he had in Seattle and brought it to Atlanta. Because, as you said before, Eric, and we did not expect that at all. Like, Atlanta came firing out on all cylinders from the first play to the end of the game.
And played the full 60 minutes.
And the way they
for
were,
the most part,
offensively, like the way they were coming out, and I said this on the pregame show, Green Bay secondary is going to have their hands full. They're going to look like a bunch of chickens with their heads cut off, and they certainly did. Because Matt Ryan spread the ball out around to everybody, and they didn't even know who to cover. Because I'm sure they were focused on Julio, but not Sanu, not Gabriel, not Coleman, not Freeman at all. So I'm taking. From my pick, I'm rolling with Atlanta going to the Super Bowl because the way they played against Green Bay, the destruction of Green Bay, man, I think the Patriots might have something coming to them.
I'm going to go C with Matt Ryan and say Kyle Shanahan getting to Atlanta and working with him. You can see you can see his development. I mean, this is Kyle's second year, I think, and even though last year didn't end, they kind of took a nosedive. The whole team pretty much did. But you see this year, in year 2, with Kyle Shanahan in that offense and him working with him, I mean...
That's what it usually takes. It usually takes year 2 or maybe year 3 to get that full development of the offense, especially with a new offensive coordinator. And sure as shit, all year they've done that.
And now Kyle Shanahan's leaving. So if he doesn't...
Maybe.
Well, okay. Granted, he hasn't accepted the 49ers job as of yet. But what I'm saying to you is, if he doesn't get it done in Houston at Super Bowl 51... and then he decides to take his talents, meaning Kyle Shanahan, to San Francisco, Atlanta's going to go back to being Atlanta, the Atlanta team that we know them to be. So you're right. Dan Quinn and Kyle Shanahan deserve all the credit in the world. I will still disagree with you and say I still feel that the MVP of the league is Tom Brady. I know he missed 4 games. And if you're on what Max Kellerman says, you should not be in consideration if you miss 25% of your games. But what I'm looking at is Brady has always done more with less. And we'll break down that game in a minute. Go ahead.
See, everybody says that, but does he really? Chris Hogan's a good wide receiver. People talk about Chris Hogan like...
Did you know who Chris Hogan was before he came from Buffalo? Before he came from wherever he was before Buffalo? Did that name, did you know who he was?
No, but I didn't know who Antonio Brown was up until just about 2 years ago, and he'd been on the Steelers roster for like 3 years.
But you had other pieces ahead of Antonio Brown. We've always said this. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they breed wide receivers. We might hear of a Sammy Coates or an Eli Rogers or a Darius Haywood-Bay, but they are not going to be the big names right now until AB and Martavius Bryant
comes back.
Comes back. You know what I'm saying? We're only hearing of these guys now because
they had to play.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they were forced in.
Chris Hogan's been in the league for how many years? And this man, we may have heard of him for last in like draft purposes because we needed an extra wide receiver, but he has elevated being on the New England Patriots team. That's why I say Brady's done more with less. He brings up the caliber of the player that he plays with.
But you got to at least have some talent. I mean, if I play with Tom Brady, he's not elevating me that much because I've only got so much talent. I mean, Deion Lewis is a good running back. LeGarrette Blount is a good running back. I mean, they make it sound like, and I give him credit, but first, I don't think you should be in consideration for MVP if you were suspended for cheating. I mean, and you missed 4 games.
Allegedly.
Was he suspended 4 games?
He was suspended 4 games.
For
deflating a ball.
Allegedly being part of the conspiracy.
The suspension was for cheating in Deflategate.
That is deflating footballs.
That'd be like somebody getting caught with PEDs and then still winning the MVP.
Touche. Frank, don't worry. I'm on your side about this, about Matt Ryan being MVP.
Go ahead. Y'all can say what you want. I still feel like because Brady was not found guilty.
But he was
Brady went through
he was
because
games.
Brady finally decided, you know what, this has become bigger. I can't believe we're going back to this conversation, but For the purposes,
But it's a part of the storyline for the Super Bowl.
No,
though.
it is.
It's part of it.
It is, but what I'm saying to you is take a look at this. Brady spent 545 days arguing, fighting, legal battles, everything possible to prove his innocence, to where finally he just said, you know what? This has gotten to be a lot bigger than what it was truly about. So, because I want to get back to doing what I love to do, what I am good at, what I am great at, I will accept my suspension. So he just pleaded no contest, which means he never admitted guilt. But you know what? I'm going to accept this punishment. But make no mistake about it. And ladies and gentlemen, I have been saying it since August 20th. Matter of fact, I'm going to get you the clip for Super Bowl Sunday so y'all can hear what I said back August 20th at the office, talking specifically about Tom Brady, the New England Patriots, and Roger Goodell.
But this past Sunday, you said the Patriots going to get beat by the Steelers.
I
So
did.
You're flopping again?
No, I'm
You're
not
flipping again.
No.
You're flipping again.
I'm not flipping again. What I am doing is I made a mistake, and I'm man enough to own up to it. I made a mistake. I put my trust and my faith in a team that I thought was going to be able to correct the errors they made in Kansas City and at least come out and show why they are the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Here's what were any of you surprised that New England made it to the AFC Championship game?
No, not at all.
Is anybody surprised that the Atlanta Falcons made it to the NFC Championship game?
Yes.
That's a good point you brought up, Frank, because looking at what happened last year with the Atlanta Falcons, they started off high, then they ended up 8-8. And we all said this beginning of the season, throughout preseason. He was done. He was mediocre. He on the fall.
Regressed.
And look at now. Headed to the Super Bowl, and he's had a fantastic season. So that's MVP caliber to me.
So then give MVP to Dan Quinn or give it to Kyle Shanahan.
I will give
it to one of them.
I will give Dan Quinn Coach of the Year.
But I'll be damned if
and
I'm
Matt
going to
Ryan
give it to
MVP.
I'll be damned if I'm giving it to Matt Ryan. Yes, Dan Quinn, Coach of the Year. Kyle Shanahan, Coach of the Year. Give it to him. Give it to him all day long. There should be a unanimous decision. But as far as MVP goes, right now, there is nobody.
Should we put money on this?
And I'm just saying, listen.
His numbers are better than everybody. I'm just saying, if you look at his numbers, I mean, yards, touchdowns, I mean, he's – okay, maybe Brady has less interceptions. I mean, I'm sure he's probably leading in some kind of a category. But they went 3-1 without him. I mean, I'm not saying that they'd still get there. Look, if he wasn't quarterbacking, I don't think they're in the Super Bowl. But they can still succeed without – I don't even know who Atlanta's backup is. I
couldn't even tell you.
He can't be anybody any good.
Isn't it Matt Schwab? Ain't Matt Schwab?
I don't think Matt Schaub is even in the league anymore.
Matt Schaub, excuse me.
He got sent to somewhere.
Is he in Oakland or is he in Baltimore?
No, he's not in Oakland.
Honestly, I don't even know if he is in the league.
I don't think he's in the league anymore.
Okay, well, my point to you is this. What I am saying to you is, without Brady, the Patriots went 3-1. Brady came back and went on a tear. Can we honestly say?
Oh, Matt Schaub is still with the Atlanta Falcons. He is still in the league.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go. See, I do know some football, gentlemen. I know a little something about something. What I'm saying to you though is,
did they even bring him on the field?
I don't know. I don't think I haven't seen him.
I've seen him once on the sidelines with a clipboard.
My question to you: if Matt Ryan was not quarterbacking this year,
the Falcons would be screwed.
They'd be done.
They'd be screwed.
Yeah. They ain't winning.
They ain't winning shit.
I mean, yeah.
Okay. So y'all are both saying that Matt Ryan should get MVP.
He's my MVP.
Hands down. He's the MVP.
After the performance on Sunday, I'm locked in with him as MVP.
I'm not saying you can't. There's not consideration. I'm just saying if you want my pick for it,
right?
I'm giving it to him because all year Atlanta's been they've been consistent. They've been the top offense in the league pretty much from the beginning, and just continue to roll.
813-699-5353 is the number. Ladies and gentlemen, our fans of Whole Nother Level, we want to hear from you. Chime in on Facebook. Chime in on Spreaker.com where we are. We want your comments. We want to hear from you. I'm still saying Tom Brady deserves MVP. The Factual Frank and the Great L. Bushman are going with Matt Ryan.
Should we get Eric a life-size cutout of Tom Brady? So
I
don't. Fat heads. Okay, put that in the studio right next to Eric.
I don't need that. Give me a fat head.
You're almost a bigger
Wentz.
Patriots fan than Craig. Almost.
For this year, I feel like that. I really do. For this year, I do. But that is because of the injustice that has hit Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and the New England organization.
Let me check your shirt. Do you have a Brady jersey underneath there?
No, I do not.
Craig's gotten to you, hasn't he?
He has. I think he has.
Him and Kristen. He's gotten to Kristen. I mean, Kristen showed up wearing a Brady jersey.
Listen, I saw that. I was like,
Frank, it's like a virus.
I know. It's gonna happen.
The one thing you can say about me, gentlemen, is I have been consistent this whole entire season, with the exception of the AFC Championship
you flip-flopped.
game. That is the only time
run for office.
I have steered my opinion to benefit not the New England Patriots and Tom Brady.
Up until this game, the MVP discussion, people had Aaron Rodgers winning it.
Yes.
And then, Brady and Matt Ryan, it was so can we at least say Aaron Rodgers?
He's done. After the performance that he put up on Sunday, and granted, 27 for 45, 287, 3 touchdowns, and an interception is not a bad day.
Yeah, that's mostly in garbage time, though.
But
It's garbage.
this is Aaron Rodgers we're talking about. On the flip side, Matt Ryan, 27 for 38 with 382, and the biggest stat of them all, 4 touchdowns and a goose egg in the interception column.
He ran for one.
And that was one when he ran that 12-yard scramble into the touchdown.
14.
It was 14. Green Bay's defense was looking around like, did this just happen?
Yeah.
Like, honestly. So I want to ask you guys, what needs to be done in Green Bay in this offseason to get them back on track?
Need to find a better defense.
Dom Capers has to go. I mean, he's been at Green Bay from back to their Super Bowl win, and that defense has been
Terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's not been good. Now, one thing that's going to help them is that their secondary was injured most of the year. So they're going to get some guys back next year and at least be healthy. I think Sammy Shields.
I don't know if he's going to be coming back.
Yeah,
he might not be coming back.
That's true. What was it? The weed?
It was the weed again.
Yeah.
I think he also had a concussion too. So, do you think Mike McCarthy is on the hot seat going into next season? Do you think his job might be in jeopardy after the performance on Sunday?
I don't think that performance helps him, but if you look at Mike McCarthy's overall record, he makes the playoffs every year, and he doesn't just make the playoffs and then is one and done. He at least advances 1 or 2 games and gets you to the NFC Championship or to the divisional round. Coaches like that don't just grow on trees. So, but that defense, something's got to. Dom Capers has to go. He needs a new defensive coordinator, and they need to draft better. They need to draft some guys for that defense. There's nobody on that defense where you're like, oh man, we got to keep an eye out. I mean, Clay Matthews.
What about Julius Peppers?
There's no aha people, right? Aha, like Clinton Dix. There's no aha guys like that. There's no ahas.
I mean, he's a good young player. I mean, he's a good piece. But look, Clay's not been really that great the last few years. Ooh. And the D line. I mean, like I said, there's no like a J.J. Watt or somebody where you're like, okay, this guy can just take over and wreck the game. They don't have that on their defense. So. But Capers has to go. I mean, he can't. His Green Bay's defensive performances, even this whole season, have just been terrible.
Yep. And I think a lot has to do for their offensive line. They had a lot of offensive injuries too. Wide receivers were hurt all over the place. Putting Jordy Nelson back on the field was good to see him on there, but I think he was still reeling from the rib injuries. Ty Montgomery wasn't still 100%. All those guys, all those weapons that Aaron Rodgers is used to working with were not 100%, so I think that hurt them too on the offensive side.
I mean, offensively, Green Bay, that's not their problem. I mean, they can score points, get a decent running game. I mean, is Eddie Lacy, is he even still?
You might as well cut bait and get rid of him because it's like with his weight and he keeps getting injured each and every year, I think it's time to let him go.
Was Christine Michael a good pick from Seattle, the dude they plucked from Seattle? I mean, he only had 6 attempts for 11 yards.
He's a guy he's going to be just a lifer as a backup. I mean, Ty Montgomery has been very useful at the running back position, but you need that power back.
Listen, do you know who led the league or led that game in rushing for Green Bay? Aaron Rodgers.
I was going to say.
My point exactly.
Aaron Rodgers was 4 for 48 with his longest being 26 yards. Now, you could call that garbage time, or you could call he just decided to take the game into his own hands, but
as many good backs that are coming out in this draft, I think
they need to go out and get one.
There's too many. They need to build that defense and get a running game because their offensive line is decent. Yep. I mean, and Aaron Rodgers is mobile, so they don't need a great offensive line per se because when he rolls out, he's probably even more dangerous. They've got a good wide receiving core. I mean, Jordy and Cobb and everything, good tight end. So You need a defense, and you need a running game.
So that's what you need to fix it. All right. Well, great stuff to start the show, gentlemen. When we come back, we're going to talk about the other game that happened, the New England-Pittsburgh game, or shall we say didn't happen. Yeah. You are listening to us on our level. Again, we are live at Co-Work, Florida. 813-699-5353 is the number. We're on iTunes, YouTube, Spreaker.com, Raw Talk Online, and as always, the replay up on our website, www.HNL3. Lakewood Ranch, beautiful Main Street, Lakewood Ranch, Florida. This is Whole Nother Level. Factual Frank, Great L. Bushman. Here's your Jolly Rancher. And
got me the wrong kind. I hate green apple.
What? Give it back to you.
No, I'm going to eat it anyways.
Whatever. Give it back. By the way, just let y'all know, we got a big announcement coming up here on Whole Nother Level today. And, of course, we want to know where y'all are going to be after Super Bowl Sunday. Ha, ha, trick question. Y'all going to be at Old School with us from 3 till 6, doing a 3-hour show. And when I tell you we got a bunch of stuff to give away, I know if you go on our website and check out our commercial, it says we're giving away everything. I mean, honestly, we pretty much are. We've got Lightning jerseys. We've got tickets. I just confirmed with the owner, Carl, there will be a foursome of golf to be given away at Old School. You have to be at Old School, Super Bowl Sunday, February 5th, from 3 till 6 p.m. We're also doing biggest diehard fan as well as hottest fan. You know what?
I have a question for that.
Go to the website. Hold on.
Okay.
www.hnl3.com. It's right there on our homepage. Check out the commercial. You'll get all your information there. Great Al Bushman, what's up?
So, are we going to be the judges for that, or are we going to pick judges?
We're going to pick judges.
Okay.
We have to be totally unbiased and be professional. We are not going to be a
You'd
part
be
of this.
unbiased anyways, whoever comes in.
Who are we getting to do it? Because if we pick dudes to do it, I mean, come on, they're probably looking out for their own interests. Like, hey, babe, don't you worry, I'm voting for
think
you.
We should have Carl as one of the judges.
Somebody, and maybe some girls too. You know,
well, of course, that's what I meant.
Maybe one of us as a judge.
It's going to be a mix. It's going to be a mix. It's not going to be all guys. It's not going to be all girls. It's going to be a mix.
We should have like 3 or 4 judges.
Carl, of course, is going to be one of the judges. One of us from Whole Nother Level will be there.
I'll
nominate myself.
We'll
discuss it tomorrow. We will probably also have one of the lady bartenders be a judge. And listen, for all the times that he's been there with us,
Steve.
If our one true fan, Steve, is there, the internet sensation of 2017, baby, you know he's going to want to be a part of it. So
we're all going to win. Oh, where's my flask? Actually, you know what? That would make the highlight of his year if he's a judge.
But
if he stays.
Yeah, if he stays. But anyhow, we will get that. We have flyers coming out. We've got a big poster. But, yes, February 5th, 2017, from 3 to 6 p.m., 1991 Main Street, beautiful downtown Sarasota, right next to the Hollywood 20. Old School and Whole Nother Level presents the best pregame party in Sarasota. Y'all got to come check us out. We're going to give you 3 hours of Whole Nother Level. But, all right, let's get back to the show. And the big announcement that we have is coming. So let's talk about the other game that happened on Sunday. Frank, are you okay? Let me just ask that question. Because here's the thing. I was all on board with you, my brother. I was riding with the Steelers. Yep. I thought they were going to go into Gillette Stadium, have the upset, and, shock the world and beat Tom Brady and the Patriots and go to the Super Bowl. That did not happen. And I'm not even putting blame on what Antonio Brown did. But what I will say to you is that brother did not show up. He did not show up on Sunday. So
he wasn't the only one.
Talk to me about it, Frank.
Inexcusable. That's the word that's what kept popping into my head. Look, when Chris Boswell missed that extra point, he ain't missed nothing all year. I mean, Boswell's been one of the moneyest kickers. You could put him up there with Justin Tucker and Gostkowski. I mean, 6 field goals against Kansas City. It didn't miss an extra point all season. And you come out, and I was like, well, that ain't good. I was like, that's not how you want to start. I was like, but okay. Look, Le'Veon Bell getting hurt right off the bat, I mean, that's
hurts you.
big.
That
I mean, you're taking away basically the best back in the league and somebody that you can move out in the slot, open up the middle field, and somebody that can just, get you yards. Look, I love D'Angelo Williams, but he's not Le'Veon Bell, and, that was a big win for the Patriots defense. So I'm not going to fault him because he suffered what I consider the worst injury that anybody could ever suffer in the history of the world. So, him not coming back, I get it.
What about the Eli Rogers fumble?
Look, yeah, I mean, but look, Eli Rogers, we said he's a rookie. I mean, well, granted, last year he was a rookie, but he didn't play all year because he was hurt. So this is his first year playing. And then, look, Sammy Coates isn't going to be on that roster next year. I'm already going to call that. Look, he had some wide open. If he makes that one catch, they ain't catching him. That's a touchdown. Sammy Coates is fast. He can run. Apparently, he just can't catch. And so, because next year you got Bryant that's going to get a roster spot. So you're going to look at players that made the roster this year that probably wouldn't because Marcus Wheaton being hurt and going out. Somebody that, so there's two spots. Although I don't think Wheaton will be on the roster next year either, but somebody's got to go. And Sammy Coates didn't show up. Jesse James, Jesse James is the backup tight end. So it's hard to expect, a ton out of your backup tight end. He's a backup tight end for a reason. Ladarius Green still couldn't get through concussion protocol. So
what are you going to do with him? Because this season, it just felt like, to me, I saw more Jesse James than I did Ladarius Green. So if you move him up to the starting position because Green can't stay healthy or can't pass concussion protocol, do you think that we might see a better version of him next year?
Well, I think having both of them on the field is the win-win. And look, this was Ladarius Green's first year in Pittsburgh. They signed him for a relatively good deal for his talent. I mean, I think it was a $20 million deal for 4 or 5 years. So, I mean, they don't owe him a ton of money. So it's a cap-friendly contract. So I would expect that they bring him back for that reason. Now, if they overpaid, which Pittsburgh typically doesn't, then I could see him being a casualty. But I like having him and Jesse James because James getting a little more experience this year. Look, he can catch, he can block. I mean, he's a decent tight end. Ben, I don't even understand. I mean, look, they became one-dimensional because without Le'Veon Bell, nobody's afraid of D'Angelo Williams. And with Sammy Coates not catching stuff, I mean, look, Antonio Brown was basically it, and he didn't show up because he's broke 100 yards the last 2 games against it. He got over 100 yards with Landry Jones throwing him the ball. So, I mean, you can't say that, New England did something special because he knows, I'm sure they've tried that in the last 2 games, and he still got, that amount of yards. Somebody's got to go. I mean, the Rooneys don't fire coaches, so Tomlin is probably, is going to be safe. But look, that defense, you got to stop that zone coverage. I mean, look, nobody, I won't say nobody, but very few teams play zone nowadays because you can pick it apart. It's the reason you're playing zone is because your secondary is not that good and you're trying to cover up their mistakes. But guess what? It also exposes basically the middle of the field, and you get a guy like Tom Brady. I mean, it's just like, dude, Chris Hogan and some of the Martellus Bennett, I mean, they were doing basically whatever they wanted, and you have 2 rookies in that secondary, so I get it. But I know you drafted Golson 2 years ago to be a corner, and he's been hurt both years, so it's not like you haven't tried, but you got to do something. And you got rid of Dick LeBeau. You pushed Dick LeBeau out the door. Now, granted, Dick LeBeau's like 80 years old, so I mean, at some point you
I didn't know LeBeau was still alive. Honestly,
you do have to move on from him. I get that, but. And this is only Keith Butler's 2nd year, and it may not be fair, but you're going to have to overhaul, either rethink that whole 3-4 or 4, figure out what you want to do and get some talent in there. And look, Todd Haley, he's got to be under the microscope too, because at some point, I mean, 16 points. 16 points. That's what kept bugging me. Okay, I get it. You don't win the game, 16 points?
17.
17.
Frank, Eric, there was a report today that Ben Roethlisberger himself is actually playing coy about what's going to happen to next season. He has considered maybe he might retire or he might move on to another team. What do you see happening with Big Ben?
Wow, that would be I would be shocked if he moved on. But if he does move on, then that would just let me know that all is not well between him and Todd Haley. Look,
have things ever really been?
No.
Okay,
and that's part of it. Look, they always said that Todd Haley was the only guy that made Kurt Warner cuss. So that should tell you what kind of a guy Todd Haley is and how he is to work with, that he does not work well with other people. And when they brought him in, I just saw that as a bad fit right from the beginning, because basically you're going from Bruce Arians as your offensive coordinator, who doesn't love Bruce, to probably the guy that's considered one of the biggest jerks in the NFL. I mean,
you're literally going from one end of the spectrum
To another.
to the other.
To another, because Ben and Bruce got along good. But, Bruce wasn't doing things exactly the way the Rooney family wanted things done. And, look, Todd Haley's dad worked for the Steelers for a whole lot of years. You can't tell me that didn't play in, and that when Mike Tomlin's like, this is my decision to hire Todd Haley, I'm like, come on, man. You can do better than that. Your dad was a scout or personnel or something for like 30-some years with the Steelers. That's why you're there. I don't like the fit, and that would be the reason that Ben would leave. Be like, Todd Haley staying?
I'm out of here.
Exactly.
Well, he turns 35 this year. He's been sacked the most 505 times throughout his career. 505.
How do you get that big tree stalk having
And with all the injuries he has, do you think he might consider retiring?
6'5", 300 pounds?
He's a big dude. He's a big dude.
260, whatever he is. How do you knock him down? That's what I want to know. I mean, if Eli can Houdini himself out of some 3-4 guys trying to tackle him, how does one or two guys
Take out the legs, man.
knock down? That tree stalk having.
He's had ankle problems his whole career.
Would you see him considering retiring, or do you think maybe it's time for him to move on and maybe play out the rest of his year somewhere else if it's gotten so bad in Pittsburgh with him and Todd Haley?
But
of course, it's the Rooney family. Who are you going to really fire? You're going to really or trade? Who are you really going to get rid of? Todd Haley or your boy Ben Roethlisberger?
Yeah, I know that it probably would not happen, because I think that Ben will stay in Pittsburgh because, again, the Rooney's the organization, and that's the only team he's played for. But I'll tell you who, if I'm Arizona, Bruce Arians is now the head coach, I'm picking up that phone, be like, hey, what's up? I mean, because Carson Palmer isn't going to get the job done, and then you slide in, you got Ben now throwing to,
Larry Fitzgerald,
got
David Johnson running the rock. You got, Michael Floyd's now New England, but okay.
That's a really good situation.
The offense.
And you're walking into a division
that's really winnable.
That's extremely winnable right now, with Seattle on the decline and the 49ers being just god-awful, dumpster fire, as you call them, Great Al Bushman, and the Rams still need to find who they are. So, I mean, yes, we could see two. We talked about this Sunday at Old School. Kirk Cousins, if, in fact, Kyle Shanahan goes and takes the 49ers job, Kirk Cousins might go there, we could see the transition of two quarterbacks. Now, think about it. Let's think about this for a second here, okay? San Francisco now has Kyle Shanahan and Kirk Cousins, all right? Arizona, Bruce Arians and Big Ben. Can y'all imagine what the NFC West, what the turnaround could be potentially next year for these two teams?
Well, you got to look at San Francisco this way. You can get Kyle Shanahan and Kirk Cousins, but who else are you going to get?
That's all draft.
Okay.
But you have a quarterback who the coach believes in. And the same thing with Arizona. All you're doing with Arizona is picking out Carson Palmer, putting in Big Ben, and saying, we went from being a legit NFC contender to being a legit NFC contender, now NFC championship bound. And as long as Big Ben stays healthy, we're going to have ankles.
And look, these championship games in this playoffs just highlighted, you need a quarterback.
Yes.
You need a real quarterback that can get you, basically this far, because it's not a fluke or accident that those 4 quarterbacks are, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, Big Ben, and Tom Brady. Brock Osweiler. I mean, guys like Trevor Siemian. I mean, it's just
Dak
you're
Prescott.
not.
They weren't there yet,
Yeah,
or they're not going to be there.
I think Dak could become that.
Right. Right.
But yeah, at this point, you need somebody like legit and real. Look, Tyrod Taylor he's not a franchise quarterback. You ain't going nowhere. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick is not getting you to wherever it is you think you need to go or want to go. You need somebody, makes the argument for Cleveland, even though they need all that stuff. If you don't have a quarterback, you better have a hell of a defense and a hell of everything else around him to try and cover up his deficiencies.
So let me ask you a question. You talked about the 4 quarterbacks: Ryan, Brady, Rodgers, Roethlisberger. Well, 3 R's and a B. Anyhow, let me slide a name in for you, because he was on pace to actually get his team to, at the very least, the AFC Championship game. Derek Carr. Do you think Derek Carr could have been in the same position, or been like, if the 4 quarterbacks would have been Brady or Roethlisberger, Carr, Rodgers, and Ryan, would we still be saying top 4 quarterbacks, solid guys, they were meant to be here?
I think Derek Carr's the real deal.
Okay.
I think he is your guy. I'm not saying that they would have beaten. I think they would have beat the Texans with Derek Carr. I don't know that they beat New England, but it would have been a lot better of a game than what Houston gave them.
Well, they would have had to face no, because if they would have won out, they would have been the number 2 seed.
Yep.
So they would have had to face Kansas City.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, looking at it from their 5 spot.
Okay, all right.
And you're right. They might have been higher had Carr not gone out.
Right.
But just looking at it from the 5 spot, if they would have gone into Gillette, I don't think they would have beat them, but
it would have been a more exciting game.
Yes, but I think Derek Carr is a legitimate. They have their franchise quarterback.
Okay. All right. That's what I needed to know. So let's flip to the other team. A team that, you know what? I said this to Craig, and I'll continually say it. This is just what I personally have come to expect when it comes to Tom Brady and the Patriots. Now Craig broke it down for me. He said, as a fan, he went through his turmoil years and had to watch his team just be bad.
Oh, you couldn't find a Patriots fan in the 80s and early 90s.
Right.
I mean,
and now from 2000 till now,
they're everywhere.
They're every time. It's like
they're growing out of trees or
it's
multiplying.
Like 1 in every 4 people we know is a Patriots fan. I'll meet a person on the street, and they talk. We hear about the show when we talk to them. Oh, who's your team? New England. Oh my God, another one.
I didn't realize how many there were.
I know,
especially in Florida.
I mean, forget Massachusetts,
Yeah.
Rhode Island, Vermont, Maine, all them places up there. Florida, I swear to you, it's like 1 in 4.
The virus has gotten to my family. Of course, my mother's from Mass. Now my sister is also a Pats fan too. So it's in my house.
I got
my family.
I got a brother-in-law, a 17-year-old nephew, a 6-year-old nephew, a couple bartenders who I used to work with.
My brother lives in Boston.
So I mean. But every time I turn around, I'm running into another one, and it's purely Chaz. I'm running into these people just for no reason at all. Oh, hey, how are you? It's like, okay, I'm a Bucks fan. I'm an Ohio fan. I love Cleveland. I'm a Dallas fan. I'm a Patriots fan.
Really? How does that work?
I'm just saying.
Look, I understand. I get it from like the younger people, because look, if you're a millennial, all you've seen them do is win, and it's like, man, they don't know about what they
the bad
used
days,
to be.
the bad days.
I mean, and look, that '86 Super Bowl, '85, whatever, when the Bears just, oh my goodness, that was just a beating. But you couldn't find them back then.
They don't remember the days of Drew Bledsoe.
They remember Drew Bledsoe on his way out.
On his way out.
That's what they remember.
He was playing for the Cowboys.
They remember Drew Bledsoe on his way out, but all they remember since 2000
is winning
and Tom Brady.
This guy from Michigan.
Yeah, exactly. 6th round pick, number 199. People who don't know sports know when Tom Brady was drafted. They can't tell you anything else about him, but they can tell you, yeah, he was from Michigan. He got drafted in the 6th round, pick 199. And then went on to win, 4 Super Bowls? I'm like, oh, my, shut up. I don't want to hear it. But like I said, this is what I've come to expect. What surprised me was last week against Houston. 3 turnovers, and you still cover the spread and win the game?
You know, going to that game, I think that was just a warm-up to make Houston think they were actually in the game. Come on.
I'm just saying, bruh.
Man.
Like he purposely threw them interceptions.
Yes.
But, I mean, getting back to what you were saying and picking apart defenses, I was watching this game, and I swear to you, Frank, Chris Hogan, I don't think was ever touched. This man was in the middle of the field for days at a time.
He's a speedster. I mean, look, Hogan's fast. He's one of those guys. I mean, he's hard to cover. He's a guy that can stretch the field. But here's why I blame Keith Butler and even Mike Tomlin, even though it's Mike Tomlin's defense now, because when Dick LeBeau left, Tomlin started putting more of his influence in that defense, because up until then, he just basically left Dick LeBeau alone because he's
Dick LeBeau.
Exactly. But that defense always finished in the top 10 for like the first 12, 13 years of this, of where we are. The last few years hasn't done it. It's the first time, that hasn't. And listening to people break the game down, a lot of it was that guys were not in the right place of where they were supposed to be. Like Mitchell came up for run support and the point was made. His responsibility is nothing to do with run support. He was supposed to stay back there in that flat. And, okay, you get caught up in the heat of the moment. It's like, man, I'm going to come help out and be the heat. That's why I look at coaching as well. And it's like, when guys aren't in the right spot, it's like, come on, man. I mean, what are they freelancers? I mean, did they go Minnesota on you and just say, you know what? I'm going to freelance and just do whatever the hell I want. And so it's like, okay, that's where I got to look at the coaching staff.
But what I'll say to you is I saw the one play where he was in the center of the field, and all he did, Frank, was run a simple slant route. That's all he did. There was nothing spectacular about what Chris Hogan did. He ran up. He slanted himself to the right, and next thing you know, this man is in the center of the field, probably at the 10, 11, 12-yard line, and nobody. There wasn't a Steeler player. I couldn't see yellow and black unless they were in the cheap seats. And he just strolled his happy behind into the end zone.
Same thing with this touchdown. I mean, he was back there in the end zone.
That was the second touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, are you kidding?
Right.
I mean, that's why it's like, look, you got to get some players in there and get out of that zone. I mean, I get it, but they don't have a difference maker either. They have a decent defensive line. Hargrove is a rookie, and he actually, I think he hit Tom Brady and at least sacked him once. So at least he kind of showed up. And Stephon Tuitt is, I like him. Again, another young player. Cameron Hayward didn't play this year through a lot of injury, so they were without him. He's a decent player, but they don't have, again, a J.J. Watt or somebody that's just a wrecking machine on that defensive line. They've got some decent guys on that defensive line. They've got some decent linebackers. Ryan Shazier is a good linebacker. Look, James Harrison is going to be going out the door. I mean, damn, he's 40 years old, 39, 38. I mean, you can't rely on him.
You going to miss him when he gone, though.
I know, but
you going to miss him when he gone.
Bud Dupree looks like he can play, for a young player.
Yeah.
Lawrence Timmons started playing a little decent. He's getting up there, too, in age. So, but you got to do something with that secondary, and you got to reevaluate, what you're doing back there, because what you've been doing, it ain't working. I know it's only been 2 years of the Keith Butler experiment, so to speak, but if you stick with him, boy, you better just be like leaps and bounds next year from what you were this year. I mean, you better be like Atlanta from last year to this year and just go from mediocre and average to just, straight to the penthouse.
Better take it to a whole nother level, like we say. All right, well, we broke them down for you. We're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little baseball. Someone at this table is a little annoyed with a certain trade that has made on his baseball team.
Wait. I'm not annoyed. I'll break it down for you after the break.
All right, he's going. And welcome back to Whole Nother Level right here at Co-Work, Florida. This is Whole Nother Level. Joined by the factual Frank Mazzei, the great Al Bushman, and your man Eric. Again, 813-699-5353 is the number to call and chime in. So, all right, he's not angry.
I'm angry at a certain sector of people.
But he's not pleased with the decision that was made. We're going to switch gears, talk a little baseball here to round out the show today. So, Great L. Bushman, Logan Forsythe is no longer a Tampa Bay Ray. He has moved on to become an LA Dodger.
Correct. I'm not mad. I'm not angry. I'm not really shocked at all because this is the way the Rays do baseball. What I'm more angry at is the fans. I mean, were you really shocked that something like this could happen? I mean, honestly, if you're a real true Rays fan, you should stick with the team no matter what moves they do through thick and thin. So I think a lot of players are upset on the team, especially Evan Longoria, who came out today saying he was really surprised and shocked that the Rays had made a trade like this to get. And we don't know what they're going to get out of Jose De Leon. I mean, he's a good pitcher in single A ball. And that means he's pretty much ready for the major leagues. He did pretty good in single A ball before getting injured in September. But the Rays have to make these types of moves. There's a few over in this offseason that I'm kind of questionable about. I mean, they've loaded up on so many outfielders. I know they needed depth in that position, but if you're trying to revamp an offense, go out and get a big first baseman, go get a big bat to fill that spot in, and then you go trade away Logan Forsythe, who was really a part of those big hitters when he was put in the second base position, because when he started the season, he wasn't even in the roster. He wasn't even on that spot, so he had to earn that position. So I'm not surprised. I just think a lot of Rays fans need just to chill out because I read a bunch of these comments and feeds throughout Twitter and throughout Facebook. Oh, I'm not coming now because you just traded away my favorite player. Well, what about Price? What about Garza? What about Shields? What about those other guys that they traded away? Like, this is Rays baseball. This is nothing new. So, yeah, this is one of the favorite guys in the clubhouse, and we've met him before. I mean, when we were in, covering the Rays last year. So,
yeah, cool guy.
He was a cool guy, a fan favorite, but it's not a shock. Okay. So, I think Rays fans and sports writers and guys around the Tampa Bay area need to just kind of cool the jets and let them do what they have to do. I mean, they have a plan because they have a bunch of moves they can make in the infield where with Forsythe gone at second base, you still have Brad Miller, you have Matt Duffy, who they got last year in the trade too. You could stick Duffy in the shortstop position, or you could put him over to second base, leave Brad Miller to first, and then you bring in Willie Adames, who's pretty much major league ready to fill in that shortstop spot. So chill, or as Aaron Rodgers would say, relax. Just relax.
I mean, it's a long season.
It's a long season. I mean, and this is what they have to do. So, and you should expect another big trade coming at the trade deadline, depending on how the season goes. So I'm excited. I'm excited that it's coming up, that baseball season's coming up, and this kind of coincides with our big announcement.
Yes.
So do you want to do it, or I want to do it?
This is, you know what? The floor is yours, my friend.
Okay, so our big announcement is, and as we teased this last week, is myself and Eric, we met with the owner of Ferg's Sports Bar and Grill, and if you guys don't know what Ferg's is, well, then I feel sorry for you.
Well, if you live
in Tampa,
hold on. If you live in St. Pete, Tampa, Sarasota area, and you don't know what Ferg's is, I have to question, are you a sports fan?
Yes, exactly.
So
we met up with Mark Ferguson, really nice guy.
Great guy.
Great guy. And whole nother level, we'll have a new home for baseball at Ferg's Sports Bar and Grill.
Yep.
Starting February 4th for the Rays Fan Fest, we will be there doing a 3-hour show?
We're doing a 3-hour show.
3-hour show. We'll do a lot of baseball. We'll even talk about the Super Bowl. I mean, we're going to do double do that weekend.
Yeah, we are. So. We're gonna give you 3 hours on Saturday, and then we're gonna give you 3 hours on Sunday. So I hope y'all are ready. Whole nother level. That's where we're taking it. We're gonna put some of our fans are going to probably be like, wow, these guys really got their stuff together. But we're going to give it to you. 3 hours of Fan Fest, 1 to 4. We're going to be at Ferg's. We're going to break down the AL East when it comes to baseball. Of course, we want to hear from you because it is Super Bowl weekend, who you think your pick's going to be. We're going to talk even a little NBA because the All-Star Game's coming up, and we want to hear from you people. So this isn't just all about baseball. This isn't just all about football. Whole Nother Level is a sports show. But we focus on what the people want to talk about. And right now, It's the Super Bowl, but the fact that we're going to be at FanFest, and we're very honored to be a part of this. This is huge for us. So we want to incorporate. So we're asking everybody who is going to be in the St. Pete, Sarasota, Bradenton, Clearwater area, and y'all in Tampa, come over to Bridge. Come over to Howard Franklin. Come check us out. We're going to be there. We're going to give you 3 hours. The great Al Bushman and I are going to be there the whole time, but I know the Factual Frank's going to stop in for a little bit. Dwayne Lindo's going to be there for a little bit. Craig and Kristen might show up, But this is who we are. We want to engage with you, our fans. And like I said,
I'm excited because this expands our brand as a show.
It does.
Because since we're locked in for opening day, which is a huge baseball day, especially in St. Pete, because that game is always sold out. And now they're playing the Yankees on April 2nd. And now we have, we're locked in to do a show there. And it always gets packed. And especially if they're playing the Yankees on opening day, it's going to be mega packed there. So I'm excited because there's going to be people in the St. Pete, Tampa area that's going to be exposed to us and have what we can bring to the table, especially to Fergs, and how interactive we are with the crowd there.
Right. I mean, and truly, this is going to be a moment for all of us. And I truly believe it's going to encapsulate
take it to a whole nother level.
Our name. We are truly going to take this show. Big shout out to Fergs for doing this and letting us come in and do it. But we're going to truly take it to a whole nother level. This is something that for 7 years, and Frank can attest to this. He and I tell this story to a lot of people because I just want them to see how we've come up. Great Al Bushman, I know I've told you this, and Frank, for you, this is just it's me being me. 7 years ago, we had the opportunity to establish ourselves as media with the Orlando Magic. And we got the gracious opportunity to be a part of that basketball game. They played the Memphis Grizzlies that night. And at the time, the Orlando Magic were slated to be the number 3 or number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference in the NBA. That was the year they actually went to the NBA Finals against the Los Angeles Lakers.
Dwight was still there.
Dwight was still there. Hito was there. Frank's boy, Turkoglu. We don't pronounce the G on a whole nother level. But it was just to be a part of that, to embrace that moment, to know that our hard work had gotten us to this point. It was a moment for us. And it happened, and then through no fault of our own, it kind of got pushed to the wayside. And, we all kind of split. We did our thing for a little while, but we still had this sports ingrained in us. So when we got the opportunity to work together again, for me, there was no other question. This is who I wanted to be around. This is who I wanted to work with. The chemistry was always there. We were fortunate enough to bring Craig on, and Craig has provided such just an energy, something that I thought was the one thing that we kind of, we lacked from time to time, and then, now the great Al Bushman, who I said this to somebody the other day, in 7 months, what this show, what Whole Nother Level has been able to do in 7 months versus 7 years just shows that sometimes, it's you got to crawl before you can walk. You got to walk before you can run. You got to run before you can fly. But the one thing we never stop doing is moving forward.
You got to cover some women's roller derby in DeLand, Florida, and sleep on some dude's floor that you don't even know.
Did we tell Frank? So Frank, I don't know if we told you or not. So when we were meeting with Mark, we were talking about his other locations. He's got the Tampa, Ferg's Live in Tampa,
okay,
and then he's got the Orlando location. So
he's got one he's in Orlando.
He's in Orlando too. So
okay.
He was talking about he only really collects checks for the Tampa location. He's a part of it. He just collects the checks. But he was mentioning about the Orlando location and how it's right across the street from Amway Arena for the Magic. And he's like, yeah, we'd want you up in Orlando to do games. So we're like, sold.
Yeah.
Because what he was talking about, where it's at, and I know exactly where it's at. It's on Church Street, which is the heart of downtown Orlando.
Yep, okay.
Right, where the railroad tracks are.
Okay.
And where he said there's a stage it's kind of like its own podium where it overlooks and you see the arena right there.
Okay.
So he's like, you guys can do a show there. So I'm excited we get to travel to Orlando and do a show there and even branch off into the Central Florida market, which is even better.
That's just going to be – listen, and there's an Eagles bar there, so I don't need a reason to go over there, but,
And look, from what I know, and, I don't know a whole lot about Orlando. I've been there a few times. There's not a lot of sports.
There's not.
Talk radio or anything in that area. I mean, basically, they got the Magic. maybe UCF. I mean,
That's it.
and
really
that's it.
Well,
So
and they
it's
got the land, the roller derby girls.
it's an untapped market, I guess.
It is. And so I'm really excited about this. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, again, I take very little credit when it comes to this. I always put it back on the gentleman and now lady that I work with, because if it wasn't for the 5 of you pushing me and making me want to make this show even better, not just for myself, but for you guys, Whole Nother Level wouldn't be in existence. So I always thank you guys for doing this. And I'm extremely excited about the next chapter with all of us. That being said, when it comes to baseball, I'm really looking forward to this season. I think even with the trade, I think the Rays are going to be a solid team this year, because what I saw at the end of the season gave me so much hope that this team could actually get back to the postseason next year, that I'm really, really looking forward to it. Yeah, it's 162 games, and there are some days where it's just like, oh, my God, we have baseball again. But I really think it's going to be a fun-filled, entertaining season. We're going to have our ups and downs with them. We really are. But the one thing I don't want to miss out on is the opportunity to introduce Whole Nother Level to the world. So, with that, we are going to take our leave for tonight. We won't be back until next Tuesday. We're actually off this Sunday because the Great Al Bushman and myself are actually going to be in Orlando. We might
check out the Pro Bowl.
We might check out the Pro Bowl. I just found out that Darren Sproles is he was asked to be in the Pro Bowl. So if I get a chance to see number 43 run around one more time before he decides to make this the farewell tour of Sproles, him and Kelsey are going to be there. I'm looking forward to that myself. We'll be back in a week. And again, we're going to talk Super Bowl. We'll let you know, give you more information about what we're going to be giving away at the Super Bowl party, the best pregame Super Bowl party in Sarasota. Old school, 1991 Main Street, beautiful downtown Sarasota, right next to the Hollywood 20. From 3 till 6, Whole Nother Level is going to be in the building. And again, people, listen to me when I tell you this. Jerseys, lightning tickets, a foursome of golf, our 50-50 raffle. We've got gift cards coming. We've got T-shirts to give away. We've got 2 contests going on. Who is the hottest fan and who is the biggest diehard? These are cash prizes for y'all because we want y'all to be there. This is going to be a big thing, and we want you to be a part of it. So make sure y'all go to our website, www.hnl3.com. Check out the commercial. The flyers are there. You'll be seeing them plastered all over Sarasota pretty soon because that's what we do. But for the Factual Frank and the Great Al Bushman, this is your man, Eric. And until a week from today, we have taken you to a whole nother level, and we'll see you next time.
Gee, Ray, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
What the rock is cooking. 3, 2, 1, go! Autobots,